Hello Guardians, welcome back to the channel. If you remember, about 2 months ago, I made a deep dive video breaking down on how Bungie's Glaive rework, especially the new projectile tracking, was causing some serious frustrations, particularly at close range in PvP. Well, Bungie has since responded to player feedback and confirmed that while overall Glaive changes have been positive, there's a small window where close range projectile tracking actually nerfed performance instead of improving it. They announced a future tweak to reduce tracking strength at very close range to fix this. Today, we're going to talk about what this means for Glaive mains, why this issue happened in the first place, and what I'm expecting once this change drops. Let's not waste any time and dive right in. First, let's quickly recap what the problem was. When Bungie reworked Glaives in the Heresy update, they introduced projectile tracking that's somewhat similar to Jotun's curveball projectiles. This tracking was intended to help Glaive projectiles home in on targets more reliably, but what ended up happening is the tracking overcorrected, especially at close range. What does that mean? Imagine you're aiming right at your target, especially in fast-paced crucible fights, where a split-second timing matters, and your Glaive projectile suddenly curves away or phases through enemies because it's tracking to where the enemy was instead of where they are now. That inconsistency wrecked the reliability Glaive mains depend on for precise plays. Players reported that pre-firing and prediction-based shots core to mastering Glaives felt unreliable or off. Fast forward to today, Bungie's response acknowledges this exact issue. They said, the projectile changes for Glaives in Heresy have been generally positive, but opened up a small window where projectile performance nerfed short range in PvP. Their solution: reduce projectile tracking strength at very close range to stop the projectiles from behaving erratically and missing shots that should hit. Why does this matter? Because Glaives have always been a weapon of precision. Their entire identity relies on predictable projectile paths and good timing. If your shots cannot be trusted, even if its raw stats are good. Let's get technical for a moment. What exactly happens when tracking is too strong up close? When you're close to an enemy, the projectile has very little time to travel. The tracking tries to correct the projectile's paths based on where the enemy was instead of where they're moving right now. Because the targets are moving quickly in close range, dodging, sliding, jumping, the projectile ends up overshooting, veering off, or sometimes just missing altogether. This contrasts with how Glaives functioned before, where projectile paths were more linear and predictable, rewarding skillful aim and timing. In other words, instead of helping, the tracking punishes aggressive close range plays. So what will this reduction in close range tracking look like? Projectiles should fly straighter and be more consistent at melee to mid-range distances. It should restore some of the trust Glaive players had in their shot placement. Expect better hit registration and less ghosting, where shots feel like they phase through enemies. This might also encourage aggressive, fast-paced playstyles again instead of playing too cautiously. But it is important to temper expectations. This is not a full revert of the tracking system. It's a targeted tweak to a specific range window. Some quirks might remain, and we'll need to see how changes hold up live in PvP. From what I'm seeing and hearing, the Glaive community is cautiously optimistic. Most players wanted consistency and reliability more than raw buffs, and this change feels like a step in the right direction. That said, Bungie still has to nail the implementation to regain trust. What about you? How are you feeling about these upcoming changes? Are you excited to give Glaives another chance, or are you still skeptical? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. I want to hear from you. If you found this breakdown helpful, hit that button and subscribe for more Destiny 2 content. Happy gaming, Guardians, and remember that I love you in-game.